enough. We're very busy, other folks are very busy, and I think there are so many statistics to go through them all would be a bit crazy. So I want to go through just a couple that are near and dear to me in the sense that they explain, I think, why video is becoming as popular as it is today. So the first one talks about the popularity of video. There's no doubt about it. More and more companies are moving to video in varying ways. So some people are doing very high-end video. Other people are using their iPhones to do video. But people are moving into the space, which I think speaks to its effectiveness among marketers, especially for B2B organizations. B2C is a whole different sort of ball game in some ways. A lot of YouTube work with that. It's just, we'll be talking mostly about the B2B experience today. And the reason I do it is because it works. So we've got a couple of statistics there about the increase in email opens, the increase in landing page conversions. If you put video into things, it tends to drive things like that. It tends to drive engagement. It is search engines love video. I mean, given two identical pages for of this, such the same information, one has a video, one doesn't. Study after study shows that the one with the video is going to draw more people. And the next stat talks about people would rather watch video, and that's not just executives, but there's some physiological information. I've written a little bit about that on our own blog. That video does a lot of the work for you that your brain has to do in order to consume information by reading things. So it's easier to do, more immediate. It's a better experience for many people, for many things, not for all things. So pricing, complicated pricing schemas and things like that, people want to see things written. They want their tabular data. But for many other things, video really works very well. And then my last statistic, which is my favorite, I've actually read the article written by, I can't remember the gentleman's name, it was a PhD in communications, as I recall. And there is some admittedly very fuzzy math that goes into this statistic. You wouldn't want to defend this number in court. But even if it's half off, in either direction, I suppose, it does speak to the incredible value, the richness of the video experience. And I think this is one of the things that gets people to consume video in ever-increasing numbers. When you watch a video, you're not only getting the content, the written word, if you will, but you're getting all sorts of information about the company that has produced it. You're getting information about the people who are presenting it. You're getting, we'll talk a little bit about this when we get to social video, which is probably the most revealing of the forms that we'll be talking about today. But it's an incredibly content-rich medium. That's why search engines love it, and that's why people like to watch video. A minute of video gets you really so much more information than if you were to just read the information itself, right? So that's why video is so popular. But there's a problem with video as it's being adopted today, and we're sort of on the front line of seeing this happen. There's a certain sense, and it may be because of the sort of lights, camera, action aspect to video. It's kind of exciting, people being on camera. There's lots of equipment involved sometimes, and so forth. So it's all gone to create this sort of aura around video that it's sort of magic, and it can do all these various things. And there are like 5 or 6, if you look at this cartoon, 5 or 6 things that are really wrong with this person's thinking about the way video works. And we're going to go through some of that. In fact, the whole gist of this presentation, the big thing that's wrong with it is people don't think of it as, when you look at marketing, video marketing, they focus on the video, they don't focus on the marketing. So let's talk a little bit about that equation. It is about marketing in most cases, just the way blog posts are about marketing. Just the way advertising is really about marketing. There's the technology or the artistry that goes into these media, but it's really the work that goes into defining and understanding and deploying the artwork and the technology that is the most important. So, marketing best practices apply to videos. They apply to everything else. And we see a lot of people not worried about the ROI on their video. We see a lot of people who don't really care about the purpose of the video. They just need a video. Maybe the worst offender here are these sort of elaborate corporate brand videos. You've probably all seen them with, drone footage, aerial drone footage of the headquarters building and the happy people, and we've got the best technology and we've got the best people, and you should come work for us and you should buy our software, and so forth and so on. And any marketing person with a trained eye would look at that and see that their return on investment on that tends to be pretty low. But there's nothing wrong with it. If you've got $10,000 to spend on a video like that, great. It won't hurt, but that $10,000 could be spent much more effectively doing some of the tactics that we're going to talk about today. So when is video most effective? Let's talk about that. Well, first of all, as we just discussed, it's the result of marketing best practices. So if you're a marketer, or you know a marketer, or they know what those best practices are, and they would never do a blog post or an ad or any other sort of communication, email, without applying those best practices to it. And the point here is that video is just exactly like those other marketing media, and you should apply those same best practices and that same scrutiny to it. So one of those best practices is to look at your marketing and sales funnel and try to be specific about the video, about what is the problem that you're trying to solve. So when marketers approach that funnel, they're going to look at the different personas that are interacting with their company and with their products and with their services. They're going to understand that those different people are going to need different types of information as they move through the funnel. They're going to understand that sometimes people get stuck in the middle of the funnel. So you see sort of bulges in funnels. I'm going to talk a bit more about funnels in just a second. And there are ways of solving those problems. So someone might very well come to you and say, look, people don't seem to understand that our product is X, Y, and Z. Well, we need some communication around that. And that's what we're talking about using video for as well. Right? So it answers questions and it solves problems. I think if you want to endear yourself to an audience, you will do this for them. So you will answer their questions. You will anticipate their questions. You will anticipate the problems that they're going to have with things, and then you're going to answer them. So again, video does a great job of that, and video does have some magic in all of these things. So for example, if you have a complicated business proposition, explainer videos are fantastic for explaining that to people. On the other hand, if you're just the price leader in something, or you're the only person who manufactures widgets in the color red, maybe you don't need an explainer video. So take a look at that sort of equation and try to decide, make a judicious decision about what video, what communication would work there. And again, as I said, we'll talk about some of the things where video really is a bit of a magic thing. So production values are commensurate with ROI. You would never spend $10,000 doing a blog post, and so you should probably be careful about spending your money with regard to video. We see a lot of people spend money where they really don't need to spend money. So competent video, and I mean in focus, audible video of the proper length and so forth, will really get you a long, long, long way. And you can begin to build on that. Our rule of thumb is to spend your money on production value so that it's commensurate with your brand image. So if you're a auto parts store, you maybe don't need to spend as much money on your video as if you are a luxury goods salesperson. If you're doing a high-end jewelry, you're going to have to spend some money on your production values. So you want to see where you sort of fit in that spectrum and spend money on production values accordingly. Maybe the most important thing I would put on is it's deployed in series, or deployed in multiples. So you would never expect a blog post or a single ad or a single web page to do all the heavy lifting for you, and you shouldn't think that way about video either. Think smaller, think more targeted, and think more problem-oriented, problem-solving oriented, solution-oriented, and you'll be in better shape than spending money on big videos. And we'll talk a little bit at the end here about how you get your organization to move in that direction. You have to promote your videos. It's like any other marketing asset. A lot of people think that just by doing the video, people will watch it and then do something about it. They won't. Build it and they will come only works for Kevin Costner. And you need to continuously promote these things. So John was promoting the value of his blog at the beginning of this webinar. That's what you have to do. And video is the same way. But I will say the good thing about this is that video is especially good for promotion. So if you're doing email to promote your video, you will find that your promotions, we saw a stat on this at the beginning of the presentation, you will find that people are very very keen to open and look at video. And so it's a great thing to promote, and you'll probably be pretty successful in doing that. But you do, in fact, have to promote your video. And then the last thing I want to talk about, this is where the magic of video comes in. Because it is so incredibly rich, because it is so revealing of who you are, people really read a lot into the videos that you do. And there are times, and we'll talk about a couple of these forms, where you want something that's kind of slick, and you want something that's kind of polished. But in many cases, people just want to see your passion. They want to see your sincerity. When we look, maybe the best expression of this is when you look at customer testimonial videos. Boy, there's nothing like somebody being, one of your customers being passionate and sincere about what you do, and that's where the magic of video comes in. That you can leverage that passion, that sincerity with video like you can't with any other medium. All right. So let's talk a little bit about our funnel. So for those of you who aren't in the marketing trade, funnel is sort of the way of understanding your customer's journey from not knowing anything about you to actually buying your product. And there are a lot of companies out there that have gone to great lengths to define their funnels, and we're just going to work with sort of three different areas here. One is at the very top of the funnel, that's top of funnel. Awareness, tofu, and consideration, mofu, and conversion, bofu. So you can impress people at the next cocktail party by dropping one of those on them, or maybe startle them even. But those are the three sort of levels of the funnel that we'll be talking about today. So at the very top, people have no idea who you are. They maybe have a problem. They haven't really defined it well, or they don't know that they have a problem. And so they're just sort of poking around, and they stumble across things. They search for one thing. Your video shows up, and it's an opportunity to make them aware of the problem they may or may not have, make them aware of the extent of the problem, and that there are ways of solving that problem. So I can give you a personal example. I was reading not long ago about a new Sony A9 camera that came out, and it solves the problem that a lot of these really big, expensive cinema cameras do. And so you don't need to buy a cinema camera. You can just buy this A9. So, that's interesting. I wasn't in the camera market, but my guess is that there's a Sony A9 somewhere in my near future here. So just a way of getting people interested and get to read about it, and maybe go to the next link to see what else is available. So at that point, you go into the middle of your funnel where you're beginning to consider things. Okay, I need a new camera, and let me think, is the claim that they just made true? What about other cameras out there that can do that? And you begin to sort of try to make a decision, try to consider, is this the thing for me? And then at the very bottom, you'll maybe come up with 3 or 4 different solution types. You'll select one of those, and then you'll find that there are 3 or 4 companies that make cameras or provide solutions that are like that. And now the decision is, which of these 4 or 5 companies do I go with? And at each of these stages of your funnel, there's a very different mindset that your customers have. There's a very different way that they're thinking, and there's very, very different content that they need to consume in order to move them to the next stage of the funnel. And so that's what we'll go through 5 of these different video types and talk about their application to different parts of that funnel. So again, at the top of our funnel, we're trying to draw awareness. And what you want to do at this end of things is you want to, first of all, make sure that people find your video. So SEO, search engine optimization, is really, really important. So you want to make sure that your title is, reflects your keyword strategy, that what the person is going to say in the video is going to reflect that keyword strategy, and you back that up with by doing a transcript of what they're doing and drop that on the page, other text on the page. So you have an opportunity to really, really pack a landing page with SEO goodness and as a way of drawing people to it. Once people do find it, you want to be, it's a real sort of soft sell proposition at that point. I encourage all of my customers to not mention the name of their product and not mention even the name of their company. So on your website, they know who you are, easily find out what you do. But this is your opportunity to be helpful. This is your opportunity to solve people's problems. This is your opportunity to answer their questions, and as a way of getting people to dig deeper and deeper into your site. So imagine you wake up on a Monday morning, you're getting ready for work, and you realize that your sink is leaking. You've got to fix the sink. So do you want to watch a video about that, or do you want to read about it? You want to watch a video. So you watch the video. Do you want the plumber to tell you about how many trucks he has and how he's licensed and how he can be at your house right away, or do you want, assume that you're committed to fixing it yourself, or do you want him to show you how to fix the sink? So that's where we are with this. We're at the top of the funnel, answer people's questions and get them the support that they need as they're interacting with you for that very first time. So this is a video that we did with Saver Strategies, and Carl Sumter, who you see there. He's the managing director of that organization. And I sat down with him. I said, "So tell me about your company and what's going on." He said, "Well, we're a new company and we're trying to drive people to us for the first time. People don't know who we are, so we're trying to get some attention." So boom, top of funnel. So here are the three things that are really important to us, and I describe it. First of all, I am not a restaurant consultant. Most of our customers are restaurants, but we're a hospitality consultant. It's very important because we work with hotels and bed and breakfasts and all sorts of other hospitality concerns. So not restaurant consultant, hospitality consultant. The other thing he told us is that, to be a good person in this market, you really need to have spent a lot of time working in restaurants and knowing restaurants. So Carl apparently spent many, many years working in restaurants. So we compete with consultants who, have never been in a kitchen before, and they're advising restaurants on what to do. The other thing is that Carl told me he is the first person, I should say, who has been certified in a new class of management consultancy through Columbia University. And so he brings to the table, professional understanding of how to actually be a consultant. And then the third thing was, can't remember what the third thing was, but there were a series of things that he defined himself as. So we went out, we did our SEO research for him, and we found out that, in fact, there are twice as many people searching for restaurant consultant as there are for hospitality consultants. So we had to apologize to Carl and tell him that, in fact, he was going to have to be a restaurant consultant, at least for the purposes of these videos, to drive more people to his website. And then we came up with the idea of asking, how do you, and the title of the video, as I recall, was How to Hire a Restaurant Consultant. And as it turns out, the three things that you're looking for in a restaurant consultant are the three things that Carl does. So you have to sort of almost reverse engineer, because if we had done a video about here's why you should work with Saver, you would have gotten people who aren't interested. They're not there yet. They're trying to get answers. They're trying to figure out how to solve a problem. So the hope was that they would figure out how to solve this problem, and they would then hire Carl as somebody who seemed to be a smart guy and knows what he's talking about. So that's exactly what happened there. So real soft sell at the top end of the funnel, answer their questions, get to the bottom of what they're trying to discover. Right? Social streaming. This is so hot right now, and I'm really excited. I think it's just a great thing. So this is, you may have heard of Facebook Live. You may have heard of Periscope. So there are ways of actually tweeting, or not tweeting, but sending live video to these different social media outlets. And Facebook Live is the one that we've had the most experience with. They really, really value live video as opposed to canned video. So rather than shooting a video and putting it up on Facebook, you'll get a lot more people watching it if you do it live. Now, having said that, we've had most of our success with doing live video, but then people end up watching the video after the fact. So they end up watching it not live, but we get the extra bump from doing the live video. I have to apologize if somebody is mowing the lawn near me, so that's what that noise is. It takes advantage of existing audiences, so you've already got a Facebook following, but it also finds some untargeted people. So if you do if you go out to your Facebook corporate Facebook page, but then ask a couple people on staff and other people to, partners maybe to share your video, you will be amazed at the people who are hidden in those friends, those lists of friends. So we did a video not long ago with, I can't remember the topic, but it was shared by one of our salespeople who, lo and behold, has an old college buddy who works for Black & Decker, who asked us to bid on a project that they were doing. So completely and totally unanticipated. I don't know how I would have found that guy. We certainly weren't, targeting, pool manufacturers, and so to be able to get somebody to, come up with that, so it's really sort of the definition of going viral. So you both have the targeted stuff, so you're targeting the people that are on your website, and you're also targeting people that you don't know who are on your website. So it's very, very effective that way. The great thing about social video also is that the production values, they don't need to be what they would normally be for a production quality video. So we shoot all of ours. That is my living room that you see there. That's me on the right, my son on the left there talking about, he does a lot of our SEO work. And so we shoot in our living room. It's very revealing, but it's competent. And we use a system that allows us to move between different cameras and so forth. But you don't have to spend the money. It's a great way to get into the video marketing game. And anybody who's listening to me right now could this afternoon go ahead and do a Facebook Live video. If you haven't tried it yet, it's something you definitely want to try. So also top of funnel, talking about various things, various conversations with all sorts of people, and it's just a great way of using video to get out there at the top of the funnel. Explainer videos. So these are videos that you've all seen. They tend to be animated, and they explain what you do. Now, I will say this, that I think a lot of these are overused. If, as I said, you're a widget manufacturer and your claim to fame is that you're the only ones who make widgets in the color red, you probably don't need an explainer video. They're not the best way to explain sort of simple things like that. They're a great way to explain things. Like if you've got some way of turning the financial world on its head, you would do your audience a great favor by creating an explainer video that explains to them how the whole thing works, because video, again, is this incredible ability to use not only text but also images and diagrams and so forth to talk about things. So explainer videos are great for that. Live action also works well. They tend to be animated, but live action does work pretty well in these things. So to intersperse a live person talking with a chart and graphs and so forth that explain the main concept is another way to go. So I tend to suggest to people that they stay away from character-based explaining videos. These are the videos that start off, this is Bob, and Bob is trying to book a restaurant for the night. They're a little passé at this point, especially for B2B. So if you've got an app that you're pushing, they still tend to work there. So just stay away from the character-based stuff, and also watch out for explainer video mills. We're beginning to see. I got an email from somebody who wanted to, for $79, I could get a 1-minute explainer video. The quality there is going to drive you crazy. They're going to sucker you in. It's going to turn out it's going to be for the first, minute, but it doesn't include titles and things like that. So you want to stay away. If you're going to do an explainer video, it's a great way of of working things in the middle of the funnel, top of funnel to middle of funnel, to explain to people who now maybe sense that they've got an issue and they're trying to understand it. So great way to go with explainer videos, but spend the money for a reputable firm that can help you do that the right way. Another middle of funnel thing are any sort of promotional videos. So video here is for the Higher Logic Hug Super Forum, and they tend to be a bit more energetic. They tend to be a bit more polished. They tend to be a bit more scripted, and kind of fast-moving, because you're trying to generate an emotional response from people. So in this case, it's like, look how fun this meeting is. Boy, I want to be at that meeting. It's very valuable. I get CAE credits, all that other good stuff. So very quickly sort of moving through that information, getting people excited and so forth. We do a lot of these for meetings. We do a lot of these for products. So people want to introduce a new software, and especially with we just did one for Aptify. Many of the folks on the phone might know Aptify, so it's another AMS product. And lots of features in it. So how do you move through all that information in a quick way? So promotional videos are great for that middle of the funnel to get people interested, now making the switch from knowing that they have a problem into maybe these guys can solve that problem for me. Very targeted. Right? Then at the bottom of the funnel, and again, as I said, I think this is maybe the most perfect expression of the value of a video is the testimonial video. So we have done many of these. We sit in a room with our clients, and we ask them questions, and we have a methodology for going through that. And every now and then, it's happened, like I think on 2 occasions, we've actually had our client in the room there. We generally don't do that, but at the end of both of those sessions, after the customer answered our questions, I turned around to our client. I said, "Is there anything we missed?" And he said, he said, I can't believe you guys feel this way about us. It was a very positive testimony. Obviously, you don't want to go to the people who aren't happy with you, but these people, they love the work that these guys did. I think the quote was something like, "Look, these guys showed up at 2 o'clock in the morning before our annual meeting and fixed this thing that we were," he said, "they saved us. They made all the difference in the world." And so you do have customers out there who are not only happy with what you do, but who actually love what you do. And it's especially the case for association. The people, the association is their lifeblood. That's their connection to the industry. And getting those people on video is fantastic. Getting their written testimonials is great, but when you see a really good video testimonial, I'm a good writer, but I'm not that good. I mean, when somebody looks into that camera and talks about what you mean to them, it's incredibly effective. And this is great now for the bottom of the funnel, as I said. So this is where people now have an awareness that there's an issue that can perhaps be solved. They know that there are a couple of different ways of solving it. They've decided on a way to solve it, but they're now deciding which of the 4 or 5 vendors can do it. This is bottom of funnel. Now they're looking to actually make a decision between one of those 5 vendors. And a good testimonial video like that can really put you over the top and get that person to actually convert to be a customer. They want some of that juju, they want some of that magic that your customers are talking about. And well, it's just a great way to get people to make decisions. So here's a very good example of putting this stuff, promoting testimonial videos. You can promote anything you want, but you're going to, promoting this to people at the top of the funnel doesn't really work because they don't know they have a problem. They certainly don't know that you're the one to solve it for them. And so by understanding that customer journey as they go through that funnel, go through that process of discovery and get to the bottom and hear what other people say about you, it really is, it's magic stuff. So very, very good stuff there. All right. So let's talk about our 5 tips for better video. I've got 2 more slides here, so if you do have questions, now is maybe a good time to start putting those up there. So a lot of people want to do do-it-yourself video, and there's a lot of video that you really can do. I don't think you have to do all of it yourself, but I certainly don't want to put myself out of business. There's some things that most people don't want to get involved with. Certainly if you're doing a a Super Bowl ad, you probably want to hire somebody to do that. But there's a lot of other stuff that does work. So as I said before, master the basics. If your videos are out of focus, you know, the exposure, I can't see people, and the audio is bad, it's just a non-starter. So master that. If you're using your iPhone, forget the Sony A9. If you're using your iPhone, get that part right. Okay, get your exposure right. Make sure your audio is good. That often means finding a different microphone that plugs into your iPhone in that particular case. But those are the three things. If you don't do that, you're really at a disadvantage. So master those. Spend your time getting that right before you start investing in other production values. And speaking of production values, adopt a standard. So you probably have a standard for all of your written material. If you think most companies of any maturity have a brand guide, you know, a logo guide and so forth. So figure out what that is. Make sure that you want to adopt a standard for production values that matches your brand. Just like anything else, you don't want to take somebody from your main website to your learning system and have it look completely different and like it belongs to some other company, or take people from your main website to your e-business portal and have it look completely different. You want these things to look the same, and so you want to spend your time making them look that way. And for budgeting purposes, you don't want to spend any more money beyond that. And I can tell you, you can spend a ton of money, as you probably can imagine, in video, and in many cases on video that people really aren't, you know, isn't going to really make that much of a difference. So figure what your standard is, adopt that standard as you've already adopted the standard for your website and for your written material, and go to that standard every time. Don't go up, don't go down, or at least make a concerted decision, you know, a formal decision about changing those production values as you go. You can always add production values as long as you're getting your focus, your exposure, and your audio right. You can always add things incrementally and move your way up. But generally, the idea is to adopt a standard and stick with it. Keep it short. I was talking to somebody the other day, wanted to do a 20-minute video, and I was like, wow, that's a really long video for marketing purposes, right? So I mean, if you're doing courses and so forth, like that makes sense. But for marketing, the rule of thumb is 2 minutes, and a lot of people will argue with you that that's too long, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And that's unfortunately where our attention spans are today. And if you want to talk about you and how wonderful you are and what you do, people are happy to give you 2 minutes. So that 2 minutes comes from countless videos done by or hosted by a company called Wistia. That stayed pretty much consistent for the last 6 months, 8 months, something like that. So 2 minutes is where you want to be. And so, again, you want to work on your script. You want to work on what you want to say. You want to really, you know, sharpen your pencils to make sure that you're saying nothing more than what needs to be said. Work that into your videos, and you'll be good. Shorter is better. Now, having said that, if you've got great content, then, you know, it's as long as people are willing to watch, and you will get some people. If you have some entertainment quality to it, I used to do a shoot video at the ASAE annual meeting and their tech conference and so forth, and we would try to keep these videos to 2 minutes or thereabouts. But if I could get 3 people who were kind of entertaining and had differences of opinions and do panels, people watch that for half an hour. So you'll have to experiment with it, but by and large, the rule of thumb is to keep it short. And I should say that, and I may have already said this, with social video, for some reason, people are willing to watch longer social video. So Facebook, I believe, their recommendation is that no video should be less than 10 minutes. And it's pretty easy to go 10 minutes of just 2 people chatting. You might think that that's a long time, but it's actually easier to go long than it is to go short, just as it is with writing. So be concise and so forth. In most cases, keep it short. Include a call to action. So you want people to do something, right? You don't want them to just, you're not in the business of entertaining people. You're not in the business of throwing ideas out there for them to go off and use with some other organization. Get a call to action in there. So, you know, read our blog, contact us for more information. Check out this next video series, things like that. So be verbose about that. Tell people what you want to do in your video. Just as again, we're talking about best practices here for content. So good call to action is the way to go with this. And you can do the call to action in numerous ways. You can tell them about it. You can use it as a lower third, which is the script that appears at the bottom of your screen. Or you can do both, but make sure you've got a good call to action in there. And then finally, use a video hosting platform that you control. So nothing wrong with YouTube. YouTube is great if you want to build a following on YouTube, but all the magic probably happens on your website. So my guess is that people are registering for courses on your website. They're registering to go to events on your website. None of that's happening on YouTube. And so if you're just in the business of getting the word out there, there's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and do that on YouTube, but you're going to have to be able to drive people to your website eventually. Secondly, you don't control the experience. So the viewer on YouTube looks like a YouTube viewer. It doesn't reflect your brand colors and your brand look and feel. You have no control over the advertising that runs before your video, after your video. You have no control over the videos that pop up for people. So it's very popular on the one hand to watch your video on YouTube and then have a cat video appear as the next video. Or even worse, it's possible for your competitors to actually target your videos for their advertising. So you talk about the great events that you do and the great content that you have, and the next thing you know, boom, there's an ad that follows that to actually go to a competitor site. So go to invest in a video hosting platform. We use a company I mentioned before called Wistia. Vidyard is another one. There are all sorts of these out there, but whichever one is right for you, make that investment so that you can actually control that experience. You can also control, like halfway through the video, you can stop the video and ask for an email before they continue. You can do a lot of things like that. So check those out as a way of a place to put your video. You're going to want to do that sooner than later. All right, so those are my tips. Then finally, lots of information. I realized that would have been even more with the videos showing. I was a little bit long with words here today, but would have liked to have those videos do some of the talking for us, but that's where we are. So lots of information, as I said. And so when you look at this, there are really sort of three strategies for approaching this, and this will make sense to people on its face. You can do it yourself, all right? When I started the video program at Personify, we decided to do it ourselves. So I can speak from great experience that was a mistake. It took us a long time to get things up and running. When I first introduced to my staff that we were going to do 3 different programs every week, I thought there was going to be mutiny in the marketing department. We worked our way through it, very talented people over there and hardworking. We figured things out, but boy, we could have been a lot more effective, a lot faster, a lot sooner had we worked with an agency to provide some of that help. Which is your second option. You can work with an agency, and you're going to pay more, but you're going to get better quality video. I would say this, that if you're looking to go into this space, work with a video marketing agency as opposed to a studio, at least at first. So they're the ones who can help you really sort of match your video with your file, so that provide you with a strategy. The studios are great at actually doing the magnificent work that some of these studios do. I'll tell you right now, much better than the work that we do. I refer people to studios if they're doing, broadcast advertising and things like that. So just incredibly creative people, but probably not so strong on the marketing side of things. So if you're doing video marketing, work with a marketing agency that does some video, and then they can recommend you or put you onto some of the great studios if it's beyond their capabilities. And then the third thing is to do a hybrid approach. So you do a little bit of both. We work with some companies where we come in on a regular basis and they're doing it themselves, but we do all of their editing work, for example. Or we will come in and we will help them get a studio set up and things like that. So, and sort of support them as they go through the process of learning stuff. So doing it all yourself is doable. You want to make sure though that you've invested some money in mostly somebody who knows what they're doing, so somebody who has done video before and can advise you that way. But it is possible, certainly with video streaming for social. There's no reason everybody shouldn't be doing that right now with their iPhones. It's great stuff. All right, so those are my the three strategies there. So, I lost a C there. Complete versions of the video samples from this presentation are available. If you go to learn.podcastmedia.tv, so forth and so on, you'll see all the videos that I talked to you. They're complete high-res versions of those videos. We also have other videos. If you visit our website under our work, you can see the other sort of stuff that we do. And then to get hold of me, you're welcome to write to me or to give me a call. So that's my presentation, a couple minutes earlier, a minute and a half early. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Well, I don't see any questions now.
So if you do have questions, please use your questions pane at this time. We'll give you a couple of minutes to maybe think of something and type it in to wrap it up. That link for the videos we will be sending in an email following up after this webinar today. So you'll have this link as well as the link of the webinar recording. So feel free to write it down now, but we will be providing that to you as well. We'll just give you about a minute here for more questions.
Hi, Paul. This is John Ellickson. I'm intrigued by your discussion of the alternatives to YouTube. Did you say you have a favorite as far as channels go, and what do you see most of your customers using in terms of these private channels?
Right. So when I was at Personify, we used something called Vidyard, which was a very, very advanced form of the sort of video platform. It was one of the few companies at that time that had hooks into HubSpot, which was our CRM, and into Salesforce, which was our Salesforce automation product. So to be able to pass that information as people watch videos, to have that information follow them, was incredibly powerful, and we went that way. It was also very expensive. So I use now something mostly, and I resell it too, so truth in advertising there. The company is called Wistia, W-I-S-T-I-A, and it's very full-featured. It does now have those links back into CRMs, into SFAs, and it costs about $100 a month, as I recall. It's $100 a month for your first 10 videos, and then 10 cents a video, or a quarter, 25 cents a video after that per month. So very, very affordable. It offers the ability to really customize that experience that people are having with your video. It gives you the opportunity to do annotation within the video. So you can see people doing Wistia videos, and they'll say things like, "Click here to get the report," and a link will appear on the video.
Paul,
and then that turnstile feature that I mentioned.
Yeah, Paul, Corinne, could you make sure you have that up there again? Could you spell that out again, that platform? Let's get that. Let's share that.
Sure. W-I-S-T-I-A, Wistia.
All right, yep, I sent that through the chat, so everyone should be able to see that popping up. So
great. And so what do you feel as far as the features go with these platforms? Can you just, again, kind of review the top features that you think people should take advantage of?
Sure. So the top feature is making the viewer look like your website. Okay, so they actually store the video, but the viewer is on your website. So if you have a lot of video, you're not slowing down your website. It's all being served up by them. And it looks like your website. If you use a video that is on YouTube, it has the YouTube logo on it. And it's all about promoting YouTube, which is, again, fine, but not ideal. So the ability to customize the viewer, The second is the ability to use things like annotations, as I was saying earlier, so the ability to put links actually in the video that the person in the video can refer to and point to links that exist in the video. And then my favorite is it's called the turnstile. I mentioned this earlier. If you have a piece of really good content, you want to put this you can put the turnstile in it about 20% of the way through the video, which is the example that that typically what we do. And it'll pop up and it'll say, I hope you're enjoying this video. If you'd like to see the rest of this video, please enter your email address. And you can either enforce that or let people skip through it. But it's a great way to add to your mailing list for people who are watching your videos. We have a company that is a tax lobbyist here in DC, and they've done a series of videos about where the president's going with tax reform, so forth and so on. And people are really keen to get this information. It's really important to their companies. And to stop them 20% of the way through usually and say, hey, give us an email address. We've been very lucky in getting and building up their mailing list by doing that. That's called a turnstile. And my guess is most of these companies have that.
Paul, one of the I used to own a video company in the 80s and was in the video business, and the costs were pretty elaborate, elaborate because you needed, large crews and lighting and such. And I know that's all changed today. But still, what do you recommend to companies that are doing remote video, in other words, other locations, and they need to find what I would call a new age videographer, the sort of the one or two person band versus the old school video companies?
Right. So I think most every studio can help you with that. And so now I think if you were to call, a big studio here in Washington, D.C., let's say, and say, I need somebody to come over and shoot an interview, they're not going to they don't need to send that many people over. They'll send the people that are needed, which is typically, we shoot all of our video with a crew of 2. And that's enough for us to get the lights up and to get the cameras up and to do the interview and so forth. So, I think the price, even among studios, is dropping. But my advice, and it probably comes as no surprise, my advice is you find somebody who really specializes in video marketing to do that, who's really interested in getting you the video that you need, not the video that they want to sell you. If that makes sense. Does that answer your question, John?
Yeah, it does. I just think that there are still the legacy video companies out there that tend to charge a lot for services that can be attained, in terms of on location crews or stringers. That there used to be, the difference was always, is this a broadcast stringer versus a non-broadcast stringer? I don't know if that's the same today.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we typically travel for our clients, so we can be in and out of places. So our clients actually prefer to send us than hire stringers like that. I haven't hired a stringer in years, now that I think about it. But I think you can get it's what you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these guys do great work. And you can get them to come in with sliders and with jib booms, and your video is going to look great. There's no two ways about it. The question is, do you want to spend that kind of money? And is having a jib boom and a slider for your cameras, is that going to actually increase the ROI on your video? And so that's where I think people need to be very, very careful in looking at issues like that, rather than just spending. It's going to cost more money to bring in that jib boom. It's going to cost more money to bring in that slider. And the question is that really worth it? And in many cases, the answer, I think, is no.
What about in the days that I was involved in video, which is going on 20 years now, but there used to be groups called, like Cruise Controls and various other national referral agencies that would find you places, find you videographers in various cities. Do they still have that? And are you aware of any services like that?
They do still have that. I can't, off the top of my head, think of them. I can't remember the names of them, but they're definitely out there. And so if you were to look at, video team referral or something like that, you'd probably find those folks. And it's great, too, because they not only come and shoot the video, but a lot of people like shoot their own video and then want somebody else to edit it, right? And so, and I do that, too. So I edit. I typically do story editing. So, all the footage comes out. I want this piece here, I want this piece here, I want this piece here, and so forth. But then I send it off to an editing, in many cases, probably about 50% of the time. Send it off to another editor who does finished editing, like does really nice cuts and really nice transitions, and builds the animation stuff into the front and the back with logo pops and lower thirds and things like that. So there is absolutely a way to sort of break this into its component parts and find the people that you're more comfortable doing this part yourself, and other people are better at doing that part. So that is out there. I'm sorry, I can't off the top of my head think of the name of that referral service.
Right. There used to be a group called Cruise Control, but again, they're focused mostly on helping broadcast network television, find crews in various cities. So I know there's a difference in type of approach between the broadcast and the non-broadcast. But Paul, thank you so much for sharing today. I've learned a lot. Kind of caught up after being away for 20 years from the space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Near and dear
I
to
didn't
my
know
heart.
that about you, John.
Yeah. So, but I
John,
do.
we actually have one question here, Paul, for you. So Kevin has asked, do you have any tools you would recommend for animated videos?
For me, it's the telephone. I call the guy who does animated videos for us. So no, I don't. He works entirely in the what suite does he use? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't have any sort of end user recommendations on that. We use sort of higher end tools for that sort of stuff. So I'm sorry, Kevin, I don't have a recommendation for you.
All right, well, it doesn't look like there's any more questions, but thank you again, Paul, so much for this presentation. It was very informative. And thank you, everyone, for attending today, and we hope that you had a great Memorial Day yesterday, and we're happy that you're able to join us today. Before we wrap up, if you could please, at the end of this webinar, there's a short survey that will pop up. If you're able to fill it out, it just gives us some feedback, and we always appreciate that. And again, we will be sending up a follow-up email with a link to this webinar recording.